Very good morning to you children. Here is your social studies teacher with, of course, Mrs. Sumati with a new topic, that is chapter 7, handicrafts and handlooms. This is a totally new topic. And as you know that crafts, already you are preparing the crafts. I know Hamska prepared the videos also, as I have seen the videos actually. Means somewhat that is handicrafts and handlooms we are going to learn now. Okay. Topics to be covered in this chapter: basket makers of Shankavaram village, urban slum, basket makers, handloom weavers in Dharmavaram, and a case study about in Dharmavaram how they are doing, weavers' problems and cooperative societies are the topics in this chapter. Now, basket makers. Who are the basket makers and how their life is there? It is totally mentioned in this. Polaya is a basket maker from Shankavaram village in Kanigiri Mandal, Prakasham district. Actually, he is a person, Polaya. He is a basket maker. You know, no baskets. Those are, you can see in that Raitu Bazaar or Santa, in those areas. Mostly they sell in the market, weekly markets. And the Polaya is from Shankavaram village. It is in the Kanigiri Mandal, Prakasham district. His age is 35 years and he belongs to Yerukula family. That is a tribal community. Polaya's family has been weaving baskets for generations. Means generations to generations. That means great grandfathers onwards. Their main community, that family is going to do the work, that is weaving baskets. Bhagyama is his wife and she is also working as a basket maker, and they have 3 children. Polaya's father, along with other 25 families, came to Kandukuru and Ongolu 30 years ago only. That means 30 years before only, Polaya's family, along with the other 25 families from the Shankavaram, they migrated to Kandukuru and Ongolu. Why they came to Ongolu and Kandukuru? Why they migrated? Because demand for baskets were not there in their villages. When they were not purchasing, they have to sell and they have to earn the money. That is only their main occupation. They can get the food. So when it is selling is not at all going on, they have to search for the other ways, no? Because of that reason, Polaya's father migrated to Kandukuru and Ongolu. And there he sells the baskets on the pavements. That means footpaths or the nearby villages, wherever it is necessary. And Polaya uses the spines of wild date palm leaves. Spines means actually date palm. You know that Kharjuram, we will say that in Telugu, you know. So that date palms, here it is not that date palm. Wild date palm means Eeta chettu. Eeta chettu leaves, they use it as a raw material. So Eeta chettu, Eeta pallu will have it now. You know that, you heard, I think so, you have it, I think so. And those leaves, they cut it, and from that leaf, they take out the spines. Those spines actually they utilize for weaving the baskets. And by using a knife, he shaves off the leaves. Means he make it that smooth the leaves and keeps them in the hot sunshine to dry those. After drying, they'll start to utilize for weaving actually. And the raw material, that is the wild date palm leaves, are brought in bundles from Shankavaram, their native village. Actually, they shifted to town, city, Ongolu and Kandukuru. So, that raw material, they have to get it from the villages only. In cities, it's not available. So, from Shankavaram, that is their native place, no, from there, their relatives were there. They used to collect those raw materials from their village, and that they used to sell to such families, that is Polaya and other 25 families migrated now. Such families, they'll purchase it and that they'll start the weaving in the cities, and afterwards they'll sell it in the market. His relatives in Shankavaram collect the spines from bushes around their villages and sell to basket makers like Polaya. And that Shankavaram village also 80 kilometers from the Ongolu. So it is easy for them to make a journey shift wise, that is monthly or maybe some other days, whatever it is that as per their requirements. Each bundle of date palm spines costs 120 rupees. Those spines, whatever are there, those spines, one bundle, it's cost 120 rupees. Polaya and other basket makers usually bring 10 bundles for 2 months. Actually, they'll get it 10 bundles. They'll bring it for each person actually. Polaya's family gets the 10 bundles, other family another 10 bundles, like that. Each family gets the 10 bundles for 2 months. So Polaya's family makes 25 baskets from one bundle. From one bundle he is making 25 baskets. Then 10 bundles, how many baskets? 10 bundles spines will give the 250 baskets. Okay. And it takes 30 minutes to make a basket. To prepare a basket, it takes the time 30 minutes. And even he weaves those baskets from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Almost like how the workers or jobbers, employees are working. Same timings automatically he is following 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock evening, and with some breaks for lunch break or the snacks break, like that. He'll utilize the breaks and that he continues the weaving. And even those he sells in that each basket for 20 rupees. Remember children, 250 baskets for 2 months is weaving. The 250 baskets into 20 rupees, multiply that. Okay, Polaya sells each basket for 20 rupees. Sometimes the customers ask for a bigger basket for family rituals. Sometimes big baskets they'll ask it because some traditional rituals they may follow for some of the marriages or some occasions they need that. So they request for prepare a bigger baskets. And these are sold at a higher price. Whenever they weave a big basket, they'll cost more price, and depending on the amount of raw material, whatever the raw material it is used as per the demand. And he sells the baskets throughout the year. Totally throughout the year they are going to sell the baskets in the market. In 2 months he would sell 5,000 worth of baskets. Already I said no, 250 baskets, each cost 20 rupees. So automatically he is selling that for 5,000 rupees. The cost price is 1200 excluding the transportation charges. Actually he has to get the bundle of spines now, that costs 100 rupees for every visit. Okay, means 2 months once he is visiting to get the 10 bundles. So 1200 rupees is the material charge, 100 rupees is the transport charge. If that you reduce, the income for the family is 3700 rupees for 2 months. Is it sufficient for their family? Of course, their poor family maybe they adjust. Is it sufficient for you children? That means you have to learn that we should not say that hi-fi families, even such families are there, how they are living as per that. Of course, this is one example just I said you. So the income of his family is 3700, that is for 2 months he has to maintain, and he does not earn sufficient income to meet his family expenditure. Actually, whatever he is earning, that is not at all sufficient for his family. Whatever that food also, he can't get that proper food only. So to supplement his income, Polaya buys and sells bamboo products also. Bamboo means, no, it is the longest grass in the world. Okay, that bamboo products like trays, stands, those are also he buys and sells it in the market, that he can earn some more money along with his basket making. So basket making is a craft work that involves the use of wild date palm leaves. It is a craft work. Mostly it involves that they utilize the raw material, wild date palms, cane and bamboo. Of course, canes means, no, sugar cane, like that long grasses, okay. Cane and bamboo. Of course, we have the swings at home, no. Cane swings we will say, that is the cane material. Cane and bamboo which are found in the forest, from there they use it to get it for basket making. Nowadays they are utilizing date palm leaves, cane and bamboo. This is the basket shop they are selling, and you see that these are all baskets. This is the broom with the baskets, or actually that material only. And even this basket, you see, what for they utilize, this is to cover the hen's family. I think in villages, most of them, of course, most of you know that those who have that journey or visit yearly once or twice, they will visit the village, they can see this. They are experienced with this. Okay, he is the seller of the baskets. See, this is the big basket. Some of the occasions, some of them they order for some rituals. I said, big basket like that. Okay, each and every item it is available, whatever it is made out of these raw material. There has been depletion of forests due to their extensive exploitation for big industries. Actually, this Polaya and these families, what they'll do, they'll bring only small, how much it is necessary, that much only they'll get it, the bamboos or the date palm leaves. But here, nowadays, industries mostly increased. For their utilization, they are totally decreasing, of course, cutting the forests. So, automatically forests are decreasing because more they are exploiting, more they are extracting. So, this affects the livelihoods of the people who had traditionally depended on the forest. Suppose industries are producing more products, automatically man-made goods mostly we are not interested. Of course, the Polayas family, such families, traditionally they are depending on those products from forests. But further, the demand for such products are reduced considerably. When the industries increased, automatically demand for those baskets and whatever it is there, it's totally decreased. This forces them to move out of rural areas and migrate to urban areas for survival. So when the demand was not there, automatically these were forced to move from the village to cities or urban areas to survive, to live for their life. This is true for many involved in traditional activities. Actually, those who are involved in the traditional activities from the so many years onwards, grandfathers onwards, those who are following the traditional occupations, now it's because of the industries, it's decreased. So many of those families are migrating from villages to cities. However, they have to often live in urban areas without basic facilities. Actually, they are living in the cities, but without facilities they are living. Urban slum. Polaya lives in slum which does not have proper drainage system, emits the foul smell, means bad smell near the drainage only. Even they don't have proper drainage system, and wherever the mosquitoes breeds, flies and mosquitoes breeds, so many mosquitoes or flies are there, in such areas he is living. That is called slum area. Actually, in Mumbai we have one of the world's biggest slum area, that is called Dharavi. It is there in Mumbai. Okay, there is no electric connection. They don't have electricity. Even they don't have proper drinking water. Polaya's hut is made of bamboo, mats and recycled plastic bags and tarpaulin. Means they cover that with if suppose rainy season they should not get that water in the inside the house, they'll use the tarpaulin. Such a house they have used. Of course, they are living. During rainy season, their roofs often leak and the huts are totally flooded at the time of rainy season. Sometimes the municipal corporation officials vacate that Polaya and other basket makers whose families are there in that in some areas. Mostly they vacate them, but they build them again. Some other areas they'll make them to stay. Of course, rehabilitation areas. Despite struggling hard, people like Polaya had been denied voting rights in the city, and in fact they have also been denied ration card. Even from 30 years, more than 30 years onwards, he is staying over there. But even Polaya doesn't have right to vote. That means voter ID he doesn't have. Even he doesn't have the ration card also, as they do not have any identity, because they don't have any residence proof, because they are shifting here to there to here, huts are there now. Whenever the corporation is vacating, they have to move. So in such areas of such people, they won't get any resident proof. Thus, they cannot participate in the democratic process of the city or avail the facilities for the poor. Whatever that Aadhaar card, white card for the poor people, that facility also not there. Even They don't have to right to give the vote. That is democratic process of the right also they don't have. Basket makers. People of Irukula tribe are usually involved in basket making and live in different parts of Andhra Pradesh. Irukula family, already I said you, Polaya is Irukula family only. He also involved in the basket making and live in the different parts of Andhra Pradesh they are living. Actually, they are called Irukala. Actually, after their women's traditional profession, what is their traditional profession, you know? Fortune telling. That means, Yerika Chaputanamma Yerika, Sodi Chaputanamma Sodi, that they say, no? Most of that cities, very rare will see these ladies. So, people of this tribe speak Yerukala Bhasha. And that language, of course, mostly those words are from Telugu, Tamil, Kannada languages. They can utilize those Yerukala family. And already you have learned that the goods which are prepared by baskets from the bamboo or the eetha chettu, simple products are necessary, but using very few materials, mostly natural resources only they utilize. But there are many other goods are there which require raw materials to be processed in a more complex way with complex tools. Actually, many raw materials are there naturally. Those are totally complex way they have to get, complex tools they have to utilize. That is cloth material made of cotton and silk. Best examples for those. And a cloth can be manufactured today either in the hand or the looms or by power looms. Actually, we will say that hand operated looms, power looms, both are there, or in large mills also. Okay, these we are going to study in the next class. That means the 8th class. Mostly what are looms, what are power looms, these are there in the 8th. So this is the basket weaving. You see how she is weaving. This is called basket weaving. And now this is the time for assignment. Do the assignment. If you listen the video, you can do the assignment. Listen it, Nanna. You can understand the lesson. Okay.